Since its inception, Conan's living settlement system has been the source of a lot of problems for the game. Today we're going to talk about it and ask one simple question: should it be removed? Living settlements, in theory, is pretty simple. Crafter thralls are given new life, and not only can the player dress them up and enjoy their crafting bonuses in a radius at each crafting bench, but the NPCs themselves will roam in an area and, to a degree, emulate life. That is exactly what this system should have been, and on paper it sounds great. A passive mechanic that offers more customization, ease of use, and makes your bases feel a bit more alive without you ever having to really fiddle with it or set thrall parameters and controls or anything like that. Again, sounds great, but it doesn't really play out like that. Putting armour on your thralls is fine, crafting within a radius could probably do with a little touch up on subsegments to be honest, but it works alright. Thralls roaming around? Yeah, about that. That part of the system is, and has been, pretty broken. That's really the main focus of this video, the roaming capabilities of the crafters. So what's exactly been the problem so far? But before that, quick shameless self-promo, consider checking out my content over on Patreon where you can get videos early or just join for free to see video previews and progress logs for the upcoming Settlers Season 4. Plug over, let's continue. The main issues with the roaming portion of living settlements are threefold. Firstly, the roaming itself isn't great. Whilst in theory it should mean that thralls are doing random actions, eating, sleeping and so on, it doesn't actually feel that way. Thralls don't really have an actual sense of life or purpose or schedule really, and it quite transparently feels like they're just doing animations rather than living. Interpretation of this is probably a bit soured by the other problems to be fair, but I think the lack of any logic or routines, especially pertaining to the day or night cycle, does hamper this system's immersion. It also really doesn't help that there's only one animation for each activity, which makes it feel a bit stale after a while, but the issues in this portion could be rectified in the future. Secondly, the roaming itself breaks semi-often. Settlement thralls will get caught up on obstacles and just seemingly forget their needs, thusly being doomed to stand around forever. It might surprise you to hear this, but that really does hurt immersion too. The third issue, however, is really the most important point. It's the crux of the argument. Living settlements, when enabled, causes thralls to just disappear or die. Nobody seems to have really rooted out the cause. There's been theories, but so far they are unproven. Through a few updates and multiple instances of living settlements being disabled, thrall loss continues to be a problem every time it's active. To that end, as of May 1st, 2025, Living Settlements is now disabled again on official servers because of this issue. This is the biggest problem Living Settlements faces, and so far has been seemingly the hardest issue for the team to resolve. If I'm being utterly transparent, I'm a bit biased here because I love the idea of Living Settlements. On paper, I think it's a great feature, and if it worked correctly, it would probably be in my top 5. The imperative term there, though, is if it worked correctly, which right now it doesn't. After being introduced in October 2024, we're now around 7 months deep into living settlements being a thing, and it's unfortunately been nothing but a detriment to the game, and I think 99% of the blame can fall directly onto the issue of thralls disappearing. Realistically, settlement animations not being super immersive is something that can be quite easily fixed. Thralls breaking and turning into human statues is a problem, but at least the thrall is still there and can be used. Thralls disappearing or dying though is a real big problem. When a player puts time into something, this goes for any game, not just Conan, it inherently raises the perceived value of that resource. Picking up a branch is far from noteworthy, requires no preparation, it takes about a second and they are everywhere. However, getting your hands on a thrall is an investment. Gearing up, finding a thrall, knocking them out, dragging them back and breaking them is a decently long process, even just for regular everyday crafters. Named tier 4 thralls, or god forbid rare ones, that time investment increases even more. Losing a single branch would barely evoke any feeling, yet losing a valuable thrall through no fault of your own feels horrible, and really disincentivises you from finding another one, as the prospect of losing that one in the exact same way still looms. In my view, losing thralls is one of the most damaging things in the game right now, second probably only to cheaters on official servers. Now that Living Settlements is disabled again, that should stop the bleed of thrall loss, but what about for the future? Firstly, I don't think anyone's going to complain if Living Settlements remains disabled for the foreseeable future. There was excitement for the feature at first, but after 7 months of issues, I think almost everyone is happy to just not have their thralls disappear, even if it means they won't roam around and animate anymore. The better parts of the system, dressing crafters and bench bonuses in a radius, are still active when Living Settlements is disabled, so the issue just really lies with thrall loss itself. That, however, leads us to this. Can Living Settlements be fixed, or should it be removed? In an ideal world, I think most people would want it fixed and functional. Sure, it could do with stuff like routines, better controls over movement and permissions and so on, but on the surface level, people just want it fixed so their thralls aren't at random risk of disappearing. If it can be fixed, it should, even if the cost is having it disabled for a long time. Put it through extensive and rigorous testing, spend a long time working on the fix and making sure it's airtight, and when it's proven, it can be pushed out and the system can work as designed. But, let's be honest, Conan Exiles is not the cleanest game in terms of code and technical debt. The devs have said this themselves, and I imagine the underlying cause of a lot of issues is that spaghetti code, for want of a better term. Thrall loss is one of the biggest problems in the entire game, and if a fix cannot be guaranteed to be 100% effective, it might be right to think about just removing the wandering feature. Again, and I think others would rather it be fixed, and I doubt the devs want to remove it either, but when things are causing far more problems than they're worth, it's sometimes the more pragmatic choice. We saw the same with the removal of Almariah. As long as the radius effect on benches and the ability to dress up crafters remains, honestly, I'm not too sure the community would be all too bothered at this point if Funcom announced they were removing the wandering portion of Living Settlements. Sure, when your thralls are milling around, eating, drinking and so on, I gotta say, it's quite pleasant, and it's something the game has felt like it was missing for a while, but if the cost is the risk of randomly losing thralls, even if that risk is low, it's not worth it. Ultimately, I think it boils down to this. If Living Settlements can be fixed, it should. The team should take their time, apply fixes, test them over and over and over again, and make sure they are ironclad. If there's even a slight chance they're not, don't push them out. Thrall loss is one of the fastest ways to drive players away from Conan. If it can be fixed and the fix is infallible, great, but if not, I think it is time to think about removing Living Settlements. It kind of grieves me to say it because I think the system is great on paper, but with the issues it's caused, it's just not worth it for the wider player base. For now, I imagine Living Settlements will be disabled for quite a while. I really don't see them reactivating it without the strong potential of an effective fix, but I also don't think the community is going to take kindly to a potential fix not working again, even 6 or 12 months down the line. The system has potential to add life into our bases, something that Conan has really lacked, but if it has even the slightest chance to undo the hard work of gathering valuable thralls, the system should go. Anyway, that will wrap us up for today. I think I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of making videos like this, but it comes with the territory. I would rather be singing the praises of Living Settlements, but when it's in the state it is, that can't be done. I had a brief discussion about this topic in my Discord the other day, which kind of sparked this video idea. Do let me know what you think in the comments, though I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people fall into the same camp as me on this topic. The issues are getting a bit long in the tooth for now. Thanks for watching, and a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel here on YouTube and get some exclusive perks, take a look at the new channel memberships available by clicking join just below this video. Take care, and I'll see you soon.